Was your coach
And
having you training with power or just total RPE, like just go out, go
so
do something hard?
at the beginning, I didn't have a coach at Georgia Tech. So there's Cody Elder. He was kind of a standalone coach that he helped the team as a whole, and he took on individual athletes who wanted to put themselves to the next level that were on the club. Because it's still a club. It's not a NCAA like sanctions like sponsored or
Right,
funded sport through the university. So
right.
like we didn't really have the money to just hire a full-time coach like some colleges do. But Cody helped us out a lot, and he actually coached me for a little bit and got me training to the next level. And yes, I after I got a coach, I got a power meter. I had a heart rate monitor,
Mhm.
but obviously did not want to drop the money on a power meter my first
Yeah, they've
year.
come down, but they're still
Yeah,
pretty expensive.
yeah, and just when I was, I guess, sophomore, junior in Scott High School, the thought of dropping $600 on a metal pedal was like, why would I do that? Like,
Yeah.
I would never do that. And then my coach eventually convinced me. I was like, look, this is how I get to tell like how well your progress is,
Mhm.
how well you're progressing. So I eventually bit the bullet and dropped the money on a pair. And but yeah, I've been training with it ever since. It's just so on my race Garmin, I actually have nothing but power and distance on it. I don't have anything else. No speed,
Yeah.
nothing. I just have power per 3 seconds, and then on my second data screen, I have lapped power. That's it. Like that's all I trade
Well,
with.
I mean, that's
So
all that really matters. Like, I have a dual GPS like head unit for my bike, and I wish I could. Maybe I can, and I'm just too dumb. But I wish I could customize the screen so I could just set it up like all I want is power and time, or like whatever the interval is. But I have to have like the screen where it's like power and speed and cadence, and it's like there's too much on the screen. Like all I want to know
yeah,
is what my power is and how long I've gone. Like that's all that matters because
yeah,
ultimately, like say if I want to hit 300 watts for an interval, doesn't matter whether I'm going uphill or downhill or on a flat. Like,
right,
am I hitting 300 watts? That's the only question that
hmm
has to be answered.
exactly,
So
yeah.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, especially for triathlons, it's so important to maintain that consistent power.
Yeah.
Especially when you're considering that you have to run afterwards, and
Mhm.
you know, putting some and not absolutely destroying yourself on a hill. It's just important to keep track of. So I think, if you don't have a power meter, you can absolutely get stuff done. Heart rate's still a great
Mhm.
measure of like if for anyone who's watching this and doesn't want to buy power meter, you absolutely do not have to. It's just a great tool for determining, over a course of time, whether your power has increased. If you're more efficient on the bike, and it's just that that's small benefit where you can see how efficient you're being. But
Mhm.
for me, it's become part of my daily biking, just routine, just looking at my power stuff.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious. Like Chris had his reasons, um, and obviously I have my own genetic limitations. At least I think that's what it is. I mean, given how competitive you are, did you ever have, or do you have, I mean, aspirations of racing in the pro field, regardless of making a living from it, but just, taking that
Right.
step to the next level?
Yeah, I'll say it. Yes, I do. You know, I respect Chris so much because he wants to be, he's always said, I didn't take my pro card because, I want to be able to compete at the top level
Hmm.
and not just say, have the figure I'm a pro, because there is some kind of, there's, um, things that you give up being a pro athlete, as
Hmm.
well. And, I'm kind of in the same book, like I'm very competitive, but most of that competitiveness is for myself. You
Hmm.
know, I could I could really care less what, if other people think I'm a pro or not. If I have that, if I can become a pro and still compete at that high level,
Hmm.
and be there up with the top guys, that's what matters to me. If I can podium in some of those races, and that's that's the goal for me, is just to be at the top level of the sport for myself,
Hmm.
because that is really important to me, and that's definitely a future aspiration. There's a lot of work that's going to have to be put into that, especially with a full-time job. Is it realistic? I think it is kind of realistic. If
Hmm.
I keep on with this structure and put in the pull smart yardage, not just garbage yardage,
Yeah.
and most importantly for me at this point, not getting injured, especially for the running. Every time I have some sort of injury on the run, I'm out for 2 months, and
Yeah.
my season's done basically. You don't run for more than a couple weeks in my book. Like your fitness is through.
Yeah.
Um, so it's different for like cycling because you can just put the miles in and get it right back. Swimming even worse. Like if you're out of the pool, in my opinion, for 2 weeks, you're done. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, your fitness is so just gone from not swimming. But if I could stay uninjured and slightly bump up the volume as I get better,
Hmm.
but not to a point where I'm sacrificing my own personal life outside of sport. Obviously at this moment, being a pro athlete is aspiration, but I don't want it to jeopardize my career because
Yeah.
my
Oh.
career, my career, I've made the decision after college that I wasn't going to, make a living off of sports.
Hmm.
It was a decently tough decision, but I had to be realistic with myself, both
Hmm.
from genetic and physical and just time limitations. That wasn't going to happen.
Hmm.
So at this point, being a pro triathlete is something that I definitely want to do for my own personal gratification. But yes,
Have you raced one of those elite development races? Do you know what I'm talking about? The
I know
like
what you're
draft
talking
legal
about.
amateur events?
Yeah, I've only done one draft legal event, which is really disappointing because I loved it. And I did it one at collegiate nationals. But I no, I haven't done. I know what the EDR races are. My coach
Okay.
actually wanted to get me into them. Cody Elder, he wanted me to get into it, but it kind of came at a bad time when I was thinking about graduate. Well, I was graduating,
Hmm.
and I didn't know where I would be. And I didn't know what job. I didn't have a job at the time upon graduation, and my mind was just in different places. I
Hmm.
was kind of a mess. Like I was traveling internationally. I was trying to find a job, and my mind wasn't on sports for that one specific block of time, and
Yeah.
I didn't have the chance to do any of them. But
Well,
you know,
so under 25 you can go, just go, and then over 25 you need an invitation. But if you're interested, I can probably help you figure that out. Because at least for now, I know the lady that's in charge of getting people in,
mhm.
even though she's going to be leaving that position. But yeah, I mean, even if you're, I don't know whether you're interested in going draft legal, whether you want to go long course. I think the draft legal event is it's just a ton of fun. Like
Yeah,
even if you like you don't get your pro card at the event, like racing draft legal is so much more fun to me than always doing solo non-draft or
right.
Olympic sprint or long course. Like just
Yeah,
because it's just like cross country, it's the same atmosphere. Like when you're in a pack on the bike, or you're in your case, you would definitely be in a pack in the swim, and then get with the good cyclists, and then it's a showdown at the end of
right. Yeah.
who can outrun the others. So I mean, if you have time, can fit in your schedule. Absolutely recommend it, just for the experience, if
Okay.
nothing else.
I mean, I definitely am. If I have the chance, I would love to. I've only,
Yeah.
like I said, I've only gotten to do one draft legal race, and yeah, I think it'd be interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, they kind of changed. So Claremont is in March every
Hmm.
year. They used to
Yeah,
have Detroit for a couple of years. They did in August. They stopped doing that race because we couldn't get enough guys out there. But it
for
seems
sure.
like they'll try different ones every once in a
Yeah,
while. So we'll just keep that on like on the radar. I
right.
don't want to run out of time, and I do want to get to your job, what you do.
Okay.
So aerospace engineer,
Yeah.
like what's your day like? What are you actually working on?
Yeah. So I uh, I work at General Atomics. They are General Atomics has a subsidiary company called General Atomics Aeronautical, which is obviously their aircraft drone division of General Atomics. That's what I work at.
Mhm.
It's located here in San Diego, California, where I am. Their headquarters, more specifically Poway, which is northeast San Diego. But I work as avionics systems engineer for the U.S. Army. So basically, I'm working on hardware and requirements. So avionics is basically, for those that I'm talking common sense to, just don't listen. But for those who don't know, avionics is the electrical, componentry that goes into the cockpit, the the whole avionics suite, electronic suite, and
Mhm.
as far as aerodynamics goes, fly-by-wire navigation, all of that is under the umbrella of avionics in
Okay.
aircraft. So I'm working on as a systems engineer, my job is basically to provide requirements for software engineers, flight test engineers, so that they can more effectively organize their code and test qualifications effectively. And I basically write, I'll create block diagrams and overall avionics componentry and wiring schematics for
Mhm.
the overall system so that everybody in the company who is working on that aircraft uh, has a general picture of what's going on. Um, Additionally, I'll write ConOps diagrams, which are concept of operation diagrams.
Mhm.
So in order to, I spend a lot of time with the actual consumer itself, in my case being the US Army.
Okay.
So in order for them to purchase our product, we have to fetch new ideas to them, pitch new ideas to them.
Mhm.
And my job, or part of it, is to write a ConOps, concept of operations, which is basically, here's what this new product is. Say it's a new GPS navigation system.
Okay.
How is it applicable? Here's a diagram that shows how it's going to be applied in our aircraft and what it is going to do in the battlefield for you guys, the U.S. Army. And if they like it, they'll fund us, and then we can continue the development of the product. So I work there. We have a 980 schedule, so I work there Monday through Friday, every other Friday off, like this one. And I enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. It's a fun job. I'm lucky to have the position. It's one of I'm working on this aircraft called the Gray Eagle, the MQ-9 Gray Eagle, and it's a U.S. Army drone that's currently deployed throughout the Middle East at the moment. So.
Okay. See if I followed all that. I mean, it sounds like it sounds like a really interesting job. If that's your thing, like as an engineer, like I mean, I'm always curious like how people get kind of into that subspecialty. I mean, so you said you studied aerospace at Georgia Tech, right?
Right.
I
Yes.
mean, how do you so from there? I mean, you can go dozens of ways,
Mhm.
as far as like everything that aerospace covers. Like, did you have like an interest in I'll call it systems design, but like what you do now, the coordination
Right.
between all the teams, did you have an interest in that, or was it a matter of this is what's available, like I'll apply and see, or like how do you get to where you are?
So that's a good question. Systems engineering is usually designated to more senior engineers, and obviously I'm the most junior engineer you can be.
Mhm.
But systems engineer is definitely something that I wanted to do graduating college. I specifically applied for this job. To be honest, I didn't think I'd get it because I thought systems engineering was basically, like I said, limited to senior engineers.
Uh-huh.
But it's systems engineering was very interesting to me because I like, as much as I like working on the componentry, specific, like design aspects of aircraft.
Hmm.
I also, another interest of mine is, coming up with strategic planning, and I like talking to people. So systems engineering is the most people, I guess. I don't know, just talking to the consumer. You get a lot of that experience, and then you know, and understanding the overall scope of the project as a whole. Those things matter to me a lot when working on a project. For example, I'm on our aircraft at the moment, and we had 2 years of studying that at Georgia Tech. My last 2 years, we had two systems engineering courses, and they were, I'd like to say they were by far two of my favorite courses that I studied. I thoroughly enjoyed working on the projects there, just because you got to apply all of the knowledge that you had learned previously, all of those, the terrible thermodynamics, like fluid dynamics, all those annoying subjects. You actually got to put them to use, and you didn't think, why did I just, fail all these exams to never
Mhm.
use them again? So,
Yeah.
um, but it applies everything together, and I think systems engineer is the most, it's definitely not for everyone. If you like, if you're super specific, if you like to know exactly how this wire and what voltage goes into the other wire, and
Mhm.
how do you code this software for this specific part of the aircraft, it's not for you. It's a broad engineering where you understand everything,
Mhm.
um, so that you can more effectively convey it to other engineers and make sure they work efficiently, and the consumer itself. So
Mhm.
those are some of the things I most like to do, and that's why I picked the job.
So I'm kind of curious, like, since you're, as far as I understand it, since you're coordinating between all these teams and the customer and everything, are you predominantly working on like say like we're making a better widget, so like we're making the GPS system more effective in X, Y, and Z ways, or do you also
Mhm.
work on like getting feedback from the army in this case in terms of like the use like UI and UX, like
Yeah.
do you work on that stuff with them as well?
Yeah, so it's basically everything that is either complained or suggested to us in any aspect is what I will be working on. So if something as simple as the army being like, we don't like where this GPS system is placed, I will uh, convey that, write a new requirement, send it to flight test, see if that object can be placed there, or if it's
Hmm.
completely not okay, see if software can recode for the new configuration. Or something as, even if software is like, no, this can't be done, or if they send something specific to be for me to convey to the army, then I'll also be the middleman to do that. Basically any communication that goes from the higher ups, basically the army, all the way to the low level, not low level, not being like bad, low level being specific,
Hmm.
like the software guys. I'm basically communicating everything between them, and
Okay.
anything that I can do in an engineering sense, I will perform and then send to its respective department to ensure that it can be applied to the system. So
Okay. Okay. I think I have to be a little mindful of your time so you're not late for your swim. You've seen a couple episodes, so we could probably go on for another half hour. Like
yeah.
I've got things I didn't get to, but maybe I'll have to have you on for another day. Um, so as I ask everybody, like you've seen the episodes, so you know I'm going to ask you. I like this. Just this is an encompassing question because everybody eats, so it's like it's always interesting, like what everybody says. If you can only choose one food to eat for recovery for the rest of your life, what do you
Oh
choose?
gosh. Okay. Man, that's a hard one. It's For recovery,
Yep.
I just say peanut butter. Man, I love peanut butter. If I could
Just
add
straight. You're
some,
gonna just like dip your finger in the jar and just eat
yeah,
it.
you know what? Like, I'll just go for it. If it's one food, if it was a food where I could like add stuff to it, I'd say something else. But if it's one ingredient of
It could be
food,
anything.
man,
I mean, I don't know if you know Todd. He said peanut butter and jelly, or like Chris likes tacos. So
okay.
I mean, you could add stuff to it, but
Okay, so I guess that answer is a little odd. I don't mean like if could eat a whole like dinner, I just only eat
just
peanut
eat a
butter.
jar
No,
of peanut butter.
yeah. Man, I would probably go with oh man. This is high school me coming back into play, but I just go for a pizza, man. Like I just go
I
for
think it's Pizza
a
Week by
nice
Laskus, and
Costco combination pizza. It's got protein, veggies, and a little bit of guilty pleasure food in there too. So, I'll take that. I know I'll probably be extremely unhealthy, but I'll take it. So
Hey man, this it's like you said, it's got all the components you need, and it's delicious. I mean, what more can you ask
exactly.
for?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Bryful, if people want to find you, where can they do that? Website, Instagram, any place?
Yeah, so I've got all that jazz. I've got Facebook. You can find me, my name, Bryful Sun. My Instagram handle, it's a little bit embarrassing, but it's called Bry Fabulous. That's Bry Fabulous. And just request me there, and I'll be on LinkedIn, and yeah, that's about it.
Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, Jesse. Nice talking to you.